Am I supposed to hear anything?
Are you ready to transform your pool into a stunning oasis? At Mainland Pool Service, they're a family-owned business committed to keeping your pool looking pristine all year round. They believe that pool care should be proactive, not reactive, which is why their skilled team handles everything from routine cleaning to complex issues with precision. They prioritize clear communication and personalized solutions to exceed your expectations. Join the Mainland Pool Service family today and experience the difference their expertise and dedication can bring to your relaxation retreat. Contact them now at mainlandpoolservice.com.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans. Want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live. Own the 2025-26 Grizzlies season with the 10-game Flex Pack, the ultimate way to catch all the action on your terms. Choose your favorite matchups from intense rivalries to weekend thrillers and customize your pack to fit your schedule. With 10 games to pick, you'll never miss the moments that matter most. Visit Grizzlies.com/packs today to build your perfect ticket pack and cheer on the Grizzlies your way. It's your team, your season, and your schedule. So don't miss out.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
Gary Parrish speaking to you from Midtown Manhattan, New York City. Bennett Doyle's back in Memphis producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you're ready for the first night of a back-to-back inside FedEx Forum, because Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs are in town for a game that's going to tip off 7 o'clock. In downtown Memphis. We'll get you ready for it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When we finish this open, we're going to take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we will discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories, among them Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are reportedly working together. That's nice. On a trade. Where might the 4-time NBA All-Star land? We'll discuss that in about 25 minutes. New York Knicks owner James Dolan gave a rare radio interview on Monday. Among other things, he said his franchise has no plans to make a big move at the trade deadline. That seems to rule out a possible Giannis acquisition. We'll discuss that a little later on in the show. Penny Hardaway held his weekly radio show last night. He had some funny comments about the buildings the American Conference requires the Tigers to visit. I'll tell you what he said. We'll do that in just a bit. Ryan Silverfield, he's trying to restock Arkansas with some Memphis players, it appears. He has taken a quarterback and a running back. We'll run you through that in the next segment. And unrelated, but still, NFL legend Tom Brady asked about how the current landscape of college athletics might have changed his experience at Michigan. His answer was interesting. We'll play it for you during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out, and we will call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but obviously I want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies, because game 36 of a scheduled 82, that's going to be played tonight in downtown Memphis. Spurs at Grizz inside FedEx Forum. Tip is scheduled for 7 o'clock. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com. The status report published Monday at exactly 5:02. The status report updated yesterday at exactly 5:02. And Bennett, I know you're telling me that it sounds like my microphone switched unintentionally. Is it possible I'm back on the right microphone now?
I think you're back on the right track now. Yes, you sound good now.
Technical difficulties, I think, is the professional term for what we're experiencing this morning.
Just don't press any buttons, please.
I promise. Hey, if there's one thing I've learned from you, it's that pressing buttons is a risky proposition.
That'll get you in trouble, buddy. Trust me, from experience.
If there's one thing I've learned from you, it's that pushing buttons, even attempting, can get you into some rough situations.
You don't want to mess
so
with
I'll
that.
do my best. Should I just keep my hands right here so you know the whole time that I'm not touching anything?
Yes.
I promise you, whatever happened just then, it was not. It wasn't my fault, other than perhaps I'm just not as technological savvy as I'd like to be. But I don't recall doing anything to cause my microphone to shift. But I'll be more careful going forward. Like I was saying, the status report published Monday at exactly 5:02 p.m. 7 players for the Grizzlies are listed as out: Brandon Clark, Zach Edey, Ty Jerome, John Conchar, Jemai Meshack, Scottie Pippen Jr., and last but certainly not least, Cedric Coward. So if you were hoping that the ankle injury the rookie wing suffered late in the first half of Sunday's loss out in Los Angeles against the Lakers, if you're hoping that was nothing, well, it's apparently not nothing. To be clear, there's no official word on the severity of the left ankle sprain, but the 22-year-old will definitely be in street clothes tonight when the Grizzlies face the Spurs inside FedEx Forum. Big Bet Bennett, hopefully the rest of the show goes a little more smoothly than what we've done so far. Good to see you on this Tuesday morning. Can the Grizzlies snap this 4-game losing streak tonight with Ja, Ced, and Zach, just to name a few, sitting on the sideline?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, GP.
And I should correct myself. Ja Morant is not listed as out. He is listed as questionable. Yeah, so we'll see on him. But at the very least, we know Cedric Coward and Zach Edey, 2 projected starters, are going to be sidelined.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Spurs coming off a loss. They have stumbled a little bit. They're still second in the West. The problem is they might get Wemby back tonight. He did travel with the team, which that would lead me to believe that he's playing pretty soon, probably tonight, which is great if you're an NBA fan. Like, I think he's actually I think he's become like one of the big attractions in the league. Like when the Spurs were winning championships and, we were playing them 4 times a year in this building and having big games and stuff like that, it still was never like a premier game, right? Like they had, stars, they had Hall of Famers, but it was never the hottest ticket ever. Let's just say that. I think it's become that with him. He's become kind of one of the premier stars. So it's going to be tough, man. I mean, they've beaten us without him, so add him to the mix. That's tough. But if we get Ja back tonight, he can keep you in a game late. So hopefully we do.
I don't know that Wemby is the biggest individual draw in the NBA right now, but he would be the most interesting one for me. Like, I often think about this through the scope of if I were going to take my boys to go see somebody so that someday if they're sitting at the coffee shop talking old sports stuff with whomever, they could say like, oh yeah, I went to see this guy one time and I guess it was 2026. I like the idea that my boys have had the opportunity to see Steph Curry in person, LeBron James in person, Nikola Jokic in person, Anthony Edwards in person, Kevin Durant in person, because just like me, they are growing up in this area, but unlike me, they are growing up with a real, major league professional sports franchise in their hometown. I didn't have that. You didn't really have that, at least, for the early part of your life. I had the Memphis Chicks. Like, we were sort of reduced to hoping a Major League Baseball player that you recognize might get sent down to Double-A rehab assignment, and you could go see that. That would be interesting. Or, Bo Jackson, obviously a thing. Michael Jordan, obviously a thing. But that's sort of funny. In Memphis, you were reduced to, like, if you wanted to see the best athletes in the world, it was probably going to be seeing Michael Jordan play baseball or Bo Jackson play minor league baseball. as opposed to Bo Jackson play in the NFL or major leagues or Michael Jordan play basketball. In fact, this is true for me personally. This is something that I doubt it's unique to me because there's somebody who grew up just like me who can check these boxes, but this is true for me. I saw Michael Jordan play baseball in person, and I saw Michael Jordan play golf in person before I ever saw Michael Jordan play basketball in person. Because I saw him play against the Memphis Chicks for the Birmingham Barons. I saw him play in the FedEx St. Jude Championship or whatever it was called at that time, but didn't see him actually play in an NBA game till he was with the Washington Wizards. So I didn't grow up like that. I grew up going to see Jerry Lawler on a Monday night at the Coliseum or hoping that, Michael Jordan or somebody else famous would play minor league baseball at the fairgrounds. But there are kids all over Memphis now who get to, travel downtown and see the best players in the world. And I think about it when I'm considering taking my kids to a game. I don't necessarily think too much about I want them to see this team or I really think this game is going to be great. It's like I want them to be able to say they've seen Steph Curry. I want them to be able to say they've seen Kevin Durant. And for me right now in this moment, Wemby would be at the top of that list. Like I said, I don't know that he's the number one individual draw in the NBA. But if you told me I could only take some kids, my kids or other people's kids, to one game to see one player, I think I would like to take them to see Victor Wembanyama right in this moment where we recognize it's here. And right now we can have all sorts of conversations about who the best player in the world is right now. Is it Jokic? Is it Giannis? Is it, you can name the person, Shea, Luka, but eventually we're going to get to a place, it feels like, and sooner rather than later, where everybody agrees this 7'4" phenom from France is undeniably the best player in the world. And someday, 80-year-old Stephen A. Smith is going to be sitting on ESPN arguing about whether Wemby is actually the GOAT. Like, that's where we're headed, it appears. And so I think anytime you get an opportunity to see somebody like that in person, that's the type of thing I would want to see in person. So I hate that I'm not in town tonight because this is the type of game I would take my sons to because I would want them to be able to look out there and, yes, put on your Ja Morant jersey and root for the Grizzlies, but also look at that because, guys, someday he's still young. He just turned 22, guys. He just turned 22. Wish him a happy birthday. But someday they're going to talk about this guy maybe like he's the best basketball player who's ever lived. And I think barring a surprise tonight, people in Memphis are going to have an opportunity to see that because, like you said, he has missed the past 2 games with a knee issue. But an MRI has made it clear there's no ligament damage. He has gone through a full practice. He did make the trip to Memphis, still listed as questionable, but I think most people expect him to be on the court tonight. And let me ask you this, because would this matter to you? Right now, he's averaging 24.3 points, 11.7 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 2.9 blocks per game. Like, that's all NBA stuff. That's, depending on where San Antonio goes, that could get you in the MVP conversation, Defensive Player of the Year, all of that stuff. But as you know, you can't win those awards anymore. No matter what your record is, no matter what your numbers are, they don't let you win those awards anymore unless you play at least 65 games in the regular season. He has already missed 14 of the Spurs' 35 games. He's played in 21. He's missed 14. You could only miss 17 in the entire season and still qualify for the major awards: MVP, All-NBA, Defensive Player of the Year. You got to get to 65. You can only miss 17. He's already missed 14. If you have gone through a full practice and you feel good enough, would that thing, the 65-game line, would that encourage you? In other words, if that didn't exist, you maybe don't play tonight. It does exist. You don't want to miss another game when you could theoretically at least give it a go. Would that matter to you in respect to, at the end of the year, I want my Wikipedia page to have some of these awards on it?
Yeah, probably so. And a lot of those are incentivized too. So there's probably like a financial, piece attached to it in some way. It's a weird spot that the league's kind of in right now, right? Because I do think that they're going to change that.
Yeah,
don't you think they're going to change that?
If they don't, we're going to look back and you're going to look back at awards and go, now, why didn't so-and-so make All-NBA that season? His team won the title.
Right.
And it'll be, well, he only played 63 games, and they had this rule that made you have to play 65 while they were constantly scheduling back-to-backs, and franchises were constantly refusing to play certain players on back-to-backs. So you're missing games there, and then there's always a calf strain or a hamstring this or an ankle this. And, yeah, so suddenly Victor Wembanyama in his third year in the NBA was statistically the best player in the world, but only played 64 games. So, like, this is not crazy. This could happen. Wemby is statistically the best player in the world this season. The Spurs go on and win the championship. He's the finals MVP, but doesn't even make All-NBA because he played 64 games. Like, if we don't change this rule, that's the type of stuff that's going to happen, and it's all going to look silly with the benefit of hindsight. It was designed to encourage, on some level, players to play more. Like, if you're on the fence, don't just sit out to sit out. Don't just sit out in the spirit of load management unless you don't care about awards. But if you care about the awards, and that tends to be how we keep score when we start debating top 10 lists and top 20 lists, a lot of it comes down to all NBAs and championships and MVPs and defensive player of the years and blah, blah, blah. If you care about that stuff, then if you can play, you should, because if you don't, it could cost you. And I guess it works on some level, but the unintended consequences are that for valid reasons, guys are coming up short of playing 65 games, and we're leaving some of the – either we have left or will leave some of the best players in the world off of awards lists that they should be on simply because we made a rule that probably wasn't thought through too well. Does that make sense? Yeah,
but then, like, on the flip side, like, does that and the league is obviously trying to crack down on, like, the load management, like you just said, right? But on the flip side of that, like, does it incentivize guys to play less if they change this rule?
I mean, perhaps, but
because it's obviously a thing now, right? I mean, it's kind of it's a thing. Like, you do hear people say, I never know who's going to play. And it's not unique to the Grizzlies. That's all over the league.
It's all over the league, but I don't think you address it, or at least it seems clear to me now that the way to address it is not with arbitrary lines in the sand of you must play these games or you can't be defensive player of the year. Like, wouldn't it be silly if at the end of the season we say, my God, Victor Wembanyama in a lot of ways just had the best defensive season of all time, but he only played 64 games, so he can't win defensive player of the year. Like, we will all agree that's silly if that happens. So why do you want to have a rule in place that presents a very realistic opportunity for something like that to happen? So to your point, could eliminating the rule and going back to, hey guys, just play whenever you want to play, and at the end of the season we'll vote on however we want to vote, could that take a player who otherwise might play in a regular season game tonight, if he were required to get to 65, but because he's not, he won't, could that happen? Sure, I guess that could. But I think we're picking between bad options here. So what would I rather have? The off chance that happens, that Anthony Edwards, just to name a player, and he's probably not even a good one because he usually plays a lot, but on the off chance that he could play tonight and would if he had to get to 65 to be in the MVP conversation, but will not because it doesn't matter if he gets to 65, he can still be in the MVP conversation if he's awesome enough. On the off chance that we get some of those sprinkled throughout the league, or a lot of those sprinkled throughout the league, I'd just rather deal with that, I think, than have all NBA teams and MVP list that don't look valid because of some arbitrary line you drew in the sand. Like, what if it's clear at the end of the season, Oklahoma City's the best team in the world, Shea just won another scoring title, he's the best player on the best team, he's got to be the MVP, but after Oklahoma City had already wrapped up the West, he pulled a hamstring and decided to shut it down for the final 3 weeks of the season, and that allowed him to only play 62 games. So, like, what? I mean, and now he can't even be All-NBA, not even third team, because he shut it down because he was so awesome and they were so awesome that there was no sense in risking playing around with a hamstring late in the regular season when you've already secured everything you need to secure. But now he can't be All-NBA? Like, is that really the league you want to have?
No.
I don't think so. So none of it's perfect, but to circle back the the conversation we're having, at some point I do think they get rid of the 65-game requirement, because though the intentions were good, the unintended consequences that come with it, I think, are probably more bad than the good is good. Either way, Grizz Spurs tonight, FedEx Forum. Grizz are now, if you're keeping track, 15-20, alone in 10th in the West. 1 game back of Portland for 9th. 2 games ahead of the Clippers, who are alone in 11th. Win tonight, that gets you to 16-20 on the season, with Dylan Brooks and the Phoenix Suns in town tomorrow night. Tip tonight, 7 o'clock. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com. When we come back, turn our attention down to Atlanta. Oh, they got a trade situation down there. Reportedly, Trae Young and his representation are working with the franchise to move him out of Atlanta. This is one of those deals where they've clearly been considering it for a while. It's been talked about for a while. It appears now everybody's ready to pull the trigger before the trade deadline. We'll dive into that story next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
The only thing better than Saturday Night Hoops is when it comes with an exclusive Grizz hoodie. Every Saturday this season, $60 gets you a Grizzlies ticket and a limited edition Grizzlies hoodie. 4 different hoodie designs dropping across 4 Saturday games. Not sold anywhere else. Don't miss your shot to collect all 4 designs. Grab your tickets and gear up now at Grizzlies.com/Saturday.
The world needs B2K.
B2K's breakup was a huge shock to their fans.
Boys for Life Tour.
Now that's the new edition way.
I feel like there's another level we can take it to.
What you think, Mike?
2 steps ahead of you, Slick.
What's good, bro?
What you doing, man?
I'm in. Woman, you don't even know what I'm getting ready to ask you.
Here's the vision. All 3 of us on the same stage every night.
Gonna go crazy.
No barriers, no separation.
It'll be like 9 kings and a queen.
The next level starts now.
How are you able to release and have an instrumental song become a huge deal?
And I forget who the disc jockey was, but he put the wrong side on. He put the Green Onions by mistake and played the B side instead of the A side.
No!
And that's when the change happened. These people started to call the station and say, play that song again.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are reportedly working together on a trade. That's nice. That's a good lesson for our children, isn't it? Look at a franchise and a star player working together to break up. We should teach everybody to work together, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's really nice. I'm glad that they're getting along there in Atlanta.
I'm glad that they're getting along as they're breaking up and moving on, divorcing, if you will.
Yeah.
It's nice that the children can see them trying to work together to make this best for everybody. So I guess it's the end of an era, or at least close to one, in Atlanta. Your thoughts, Big Bet Bennett, on Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks looking to divorce, I think most people would tell you. I think their friends would tell you. The people who have been around them. I think they'd probably tell you, I could see this coming, and I think they're both going to be better off without each other.
Yeah, there was the Tim McMahon story a couple months ago that was Was it Trae, Ja, and LaMelo that he threw in there? Yeah. So now we're seeing it happen with Trae Young. I think I'm a fan. I think he's a good player. I mean, he's obviously a good player. He's been to the All-Star game, right? But
4 times. He's a 4-time All-Star. Yeah. He is a incredibly, uniquely gifted, wildly flawed basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do think he would thrive on a team as, where he's not the main star. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the facilitator. He's hitting open threes, but he's not the go-to guy. I think that makes the most sense, but I'm not sure if that's if that appeals to him.
Yeah, that might not appeal to him. The truth is that down in Atlanta, I know that Ja and LaMelo and Trae got lumped together in that story for a variety of reasons, but the common thread there is that they are all uniquely gifted players who can do different things that other people in the world just cannot do. Like John Morant can do things other basketball players cannot do. Trae Young can do things other basketball players cannot do. LaMelo Ball can do things other basketball players cannot do. They are also all flawed. They have also all struggled to different degrees to stay on the court. And each of the fan bases, at the very least, have on some level gone from, I am so thrilled that we've got this guy in our organization, to, man, is it ever going to be right with this guy in our organization? Like all 3 franchises have sort of gone from that place, this is amazing, I can't believe we lucked into this, but this is amazing, to, man, this ain't really going the way I thought it would go. And all 3 there have been articles about all 3 considering moving on from all 3. And so whether it'll ever actually happen or not, who knows? But Atlanta appears the first place where it is going to happen. If on the day that story came out at ESPN.com, where ESPN for some reason gave front office executives carte blanche to say whatever they wanted to anonymously, negatively about 3 franchise stars, on the morning that article came out, if your question was, so which one's going to be the first one to move on, it appears that it is going to be Atlanta. And among the reasons is he's been hurt much of this season. He's barely played. And while he's barely played, Jalen Johnson has emerged as a star. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 8.5 assists per game. And they're winning without him and losing with him. So you've had another player emerge as the face of your franchise, while Trae Young, flawed and talented as he is, but flawed, is on the sidelines watching. And in this season, you're 15-12 when your highest paid players in street clothes, and you're 2-8 when he's on the court. 15-12 without him, 2-8 with him. Makes a lot of money, flawed, clearly not the best locker room leader guy. I don't think anybody would describe him that way. And now let's just, rather than forever trying to figure out how you win consistently with Trae Young, how you keep him on the court, how you avoid him getting attacked relentlessly in any sort of playoff game because of his lack of defensive interest and size, rather than dealing with that nonstop, let's just go ahead and get on with it, and he seems ready to do it as well. So they're going to start exploring trade possibilities, and the name that's out there a lot is Washington, and that's why if you're Trae Young, that could be a rude awakening, because it's like, all right, I'm not happy in Atlanta because it ain't going the way any of us wanted, but I was thinking more along the lines of you move me to the Lakers with Luka and LeBron, not Washington with whoever's in Washington. But that's the thing. You can work together, but ultimately, as Kawhi Leonard found out once upon a time, the franchise is in charge of where you go unless you have a trade clause and unless you manipulate your trade market with demands and anonymous this and that. Atlanta can do what it wants to do here. And Washington is a franchise that, at the very least, Sam Quinn at CBSSports.com is mentioning as a possibility that would make sense for the Hawks and for the Wizards, whether it would make great sense for Trae Young or not.
I mean, I'm sure he'll end up in the West. Every star goes to the West. I'm sure he'll be in the Grizzlies division. That's how it always goes. I'm sure. If I'm a Wizards fan, though, you obviously you want a star in DC, and I get that, but man, it just seems like a Band-Aid. It seems like a Band-Aid. Like if I'm the Wizards, man, all I would be thinking is, how can we stockpile drafts over the next 5 years, stockpile draft picks over the next 5 years, and just try to build this thing through the draft?
Is Trae Young the missing piece to anything you're trying to do?
I mean, maybe you're a play-in team. Maybe you're a play-in team.
He maybe raises your ceiling, although they don't think he raises your ceiling or in Atlanta anymore, apparently. And the numbers are the numbers. This season, 15-12 without him, 2-8 with them.
And I don't know who the hell I am talking bad about the Wizards. They beat us twice, but the point still stands.
Yeah, so we'll see where Trae Young goes. There's obviously 3 trade scenarios. You could just Google Trae Young trade scenarios, and it's all out there, whatever you're looking for. But either way, the day after the trade deadline, at the very latest, he should be a member of a different franchise one way or another. The Atlanta Hawks, after trading for and then watching him develop into a 4-time NBA All-Star, they are ready to move on from Trae Young. And Trae Young said, yeah, let's work together and get that done.
Number 2.
New York Knicks owner James Dolan gave a rare radio interview yesterday. He popped in a studio, WFAN, with Craig Carton. And this is like a big deal in New York because the owner of the Knicks does not speak publicly hardly at all, and rarely in like a live radio setting like that. So all the headlines up here connected to that. Interestingly, he said that he thinks the Knicks, as currently constructed, are good enough to win a championship and does not envision his franchise making a big move at the trade deadline. This is notable because the Giannis Antetokounmpo thing is still out there. Reportedly, the franchise Giannis most wants to play for if he leaves Milwaukee is the Knicks. And unlike the situation in Atlanta, perhaps, Milwaukee has made it pretty clear, based on everything Giannis has done for their franchise, their city, among them winning a championship, he's going to have a say in where he goes. In other words, you could make the best Giannis package in the world as a NBA franchise, present it to Milwaukee. Milwaukee says, we like this. And if they took that to Giannis and he said, please do not do this to me, do not send me to that place, they wouldn't do it. They would not pull the trigger on a deal without him saying, it is kind, right? Kids could probably learn something from that as well. Mm-hmm. And so if Giannis wants to go to New York, there's, I guess, motivation for Milwaukee to, if you get to the point where you're working on deals, talk to New York first. But here's the New York Knicks owner, rarely talks, but when he did yesterday, said, I don't think we're doing a big deal at the trade deadline. I don't think we need to. We've got great chemistry. Our locker room is terrific. Our guys are friends. I don't mean they just get along and work together. They're friends, and I don't want to mess with that. I think we're good. Now, there's 2 ways of thinking here. Either he's just telling the truth because that's what he really believes, or whether that's true or not, the last thing you want to say in your one radio interview a year is, yeah, we're looking to do a big deal at the trade deadline. Because what does that do to your locker room? That you just acknowledge gets along great, loves each other, and now they all walk into work the next day going, all right, which one of us is it going to be? Did you hear James Dolan on WFAN yesterday? He said he envisions them making a big trade at the trade deadline. Well, hey, Kat, you okay? I know you just got engaged, but have you looked at houses in Milwaukee? Because it sounds like what does that do? Imagine if Pugs went on 92.9 tomorrow and said, yeah, we got a podcasting trade deadline coming up in February, and I I mean, I like what we got, but I could see us making a big move at the trade deadline. There's a real monster podcaster out there that I think could. I don't know if he or she's available, but if he or she becomes available, I could see us pulling the trigger on that, no problem. We'd all walk in the next day like, okay, what's going on around here?
Yeah, that's very true.
Right, so I just think, and clearly apples to apples, the NBA is not podcasting, but I think you get the point. There's no reason to unnecessarily put that stress in your locker room based off of a January radio interview when you can just say, I don't envision us making a trade. I think we're good enough the way we are. Because if you change your mind or if you get to the trade deadline and you actually pull the trigger on a Giannis trade, and then somebody stands up and says, hey, I remember when you were on with Craig Carton on January 5th and you said you weren't going to do this. You know what you say? Well, on January 5th, I didn't think we were going to do it. But now it's, February whatever, and things have changed. And, I just sort of realized I don't think it matters how much you players get along. When you got an opportunity to add Giannis Antetokounmpo in his prime and he wants to be here, everybody tells me he's a pretty good guy that gets along with everybody. I bet you he and Jalen Brunson can get along just fine. So we did have great chemistry. I was telling you the truth. Our players did love each other. I was telling you the truth. Our players were friends. That was not a lie. But the trade deadline approached. They kept coming back to us. My basketball people that I trust told me we cannot pass on this, and so here we are. Easy. You just talked your way right out of it, no problem. So I think whether he was telling the truth or not, I thought he handled the question well.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if they're good enough to his response. They have lost 4 in a row. I would totally be trying to make that happen if I was them.
Oh, let me be clear.
Don't you? I mean, that goes without saying, but they're still
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City is the place where even if you could get Giannis, and Giannis said, I want to come, I'll do it. It's not my first choice, but I'll go. Even if you could do that, he's willing to do it. Oh, you got the stuff to make it happen, and Milwaukee says, say go, and we're done. That's the one place where I think you got to go. Probably not. Let's just leave it alone. We got something special here, and we would improve our talent clearly, but we would mess up our team. I don't know, and I don't want to mess up the best team in the world. Like that's what we have. We have the best team in the world, and I don't want to mess it up. We could make the best team in the world even better, I guess, but we could also mess up our locker room, mess up some chemistry. Right now, everybody is comfortable with Shea being the face of this. Giannis comes in here. Now what? Is everybody still comfortable? Is Giannis comfortable? Is Shea comfortable? That's the one place where I think even if you could get Giannis, you might just say, we're good. We're good. In New York, let me be clear. If you can do a Giannis deal and it's sensible, I don't care about chemistry. I don't care about the locker room. Because it's not clear to me New York is good enough to win the whole thing. It's clear to me they're good enough to compete for the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's clear to me they're good enough to compete for an Eastern Conference title. But it's not clear to me they're better than Oklahoma City. It's not clear to me they're better than healthy, full-strength San Antonio. And so if you got a chance in New York to mess with it, you ain't tinkering with a champion. You're tinkering with a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last season and then fired its coach. I'll tinker with that for Giannis. I don't know that I tinker with Oklahoma City for Giannis. But in New York, if you can get a deal done at the trade deadline for Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'd advise you to try to do it.
Number 3.
So James Dolan was not the only person talking on radio yesterday, obviously. Penny Hardaway also had his weekly radio show. And did you see what he said about? So the conversation turned to, and you're just at Rice, and now you're headed to FAU. And boy, I can't help but notice these things don't really look like FedEx Forum. Sometimes I turn on a college basketball game, and it's like, oh, wow, look at that. That's Allen Fieldhouse. Look at that. That's Pauley Pavilion. Look at that. That's the Breslin Center. And instead, you're at Rice, and you're at FAU, and they look like little, they don't look the same. So Penny was talking on that, and he said the following. He said this. He said, you have Rice, you have Tulane, FAU, and I don't know what UTSA is. That's like an auditorium. It's not like a gym. I don't know. It's like a cheerleading competition place. He says the best small place is Rice, then Tulane. You have to go with UTSA over FAU because FAU is like a high school gym. But I like the smaller arenas, though. So this is our neighborhood.
You don't even have to add that part. Yep.
If you remember when we were discussing the new Pac-12 and the possibilities of Memphis joining it, the metaphor I used over and over again was your neighborhood has deteriorated. You used to like your neighborhood. You bought your house, and it was like, okay, this ain't the SEC neighborhood, and it's not the Big Ten neighborhood. But, Wichita State's a pretty good neighbor with Greg Marshall coaching. And, man, UConn, won 1 billion national championships. What a great neighbor to have. Kelvin Sampson has reinvigorated the Houston program. What an incredible neighbor to have. Kelvin Sampson in Houston. And there's Mick Cronin in Cincinnati. I mean, they're not only are they like us, they've been better than us throughout the past, much of the history of college basketball. I'd like to be better than them, but I love having them as a neighbor. I would love to have the best house in my neighborhood, but I like my house, and I like looking around and seeing houses even better than mine. And Cincinnati's house, that's a house that's better than mine. And there's Rick Pitino in Louisville. What a house they got. This is a pretty good neighborhood. Now, you ain't moved. Your house is still there. But Kelvin Sampson in Houston moved out the neighborhood. And Louisville and Rick Pitino moved out the neighborhood. And Mick Cronin in Cincinnati moved out the neighborhood. And Greg Marshall's gone from the neighborhood, and Wichita State's not the same. And Central Florida's out the neighborhood and ranked in the top 25 right now, coming off a win over Kansas. I could go on and on. SMU out the neighborhood, coming off a win over North Carolina, ranked in the top 25. They used to live next to you.
Yeah.
You if you needed sugar. Remember when people used to need sugar and they'd walk next door? Is that a thing that happens anymore?
I don't think that was everything in my lifetime. But I've
people
heard
would
the
always
saying.
say that.
I've heard
man,
the saying.
I tell you what. I got the best neighbors, man. You ever needed a cup of sugar? You just walk right next door. They give you a cup of sugar. They'd always say stuff like that. And I was like, nobody's ever knocked on my door and asked for anything.
No, not me either, actually. I think that's just a saying, yeah.
But just know, if you ever knocked on my door, if any of my neighbors are watching, if you knocked on my door and you said, GP, you got a cup of sugar? I would give you a cup of sugar.
Yeah. I'm so glad
I would probably the problem would be I wouldn't even know where it is.
All right.
I wouldn't even know where the sugar is in my house. Like, where do we keep sugar? I'd have to text my wife. I'd be like, where do we keep sugar? So it's possible I wouldn't be able to find it.
Yeah.
But if I could find it, I would definitely give it to you. Here's my point. We used to have great neighbors. You would have neighborhood cookouts, and it'd be like, look, there's Rick Pitino, and there's Mick Cronin. And before Mick Cronin, there's Bob Huggins. And there's Greg Marshall. He was in a Final Four. And now you look around at your neighbors. It's like your house is deteriorating a little bit, but it's still right where it's always been. And Rick Pitino in Louisville moved out, and Mick Cronin in Cincinnati moved out. UCF moved out. Houston moved out. And then they bulldozed those houses, built little junk houses all around your house, and now your neighborhood's trash. Welcome to Memphis Basketball 2026. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I was glad that he said this. I think it was last year he had the quote that he was like, I'm an AAC guy. And I just wanted to be like, come on, Biddy, you don't believe that. And so I'm glad that he said this. I'm glad he poked fun at the other arenas. Because it is just optically
It's depressing. It's optically depressing.
It's optically depressing. I mean, I remember watching that UTSA game. I have no disrespect. I guess I say that before being disrespectful, but I felt the same way. Like, I'm watching that game last year. Like, where are they playing right now? Yeah, this is crazy. Like, this is Memphis basketball. This is a big brand. Like, yeah, and I just it is what it is right now. It is what it is, but it shouldn't be the norm forever. Like, it's gotta. You've got to aspire to get somewhere better, because it's just It's awful.
Your athletic department will die in this league. Your athletic department will die in this league. I'm telling you, your athletic department will not ever be what it was in my childhood, teenage years, or early adult life. It cannot be what it once was in this league. Period. It doesn't mean that – it doesn't mean anything more than that. I'm not trying to be any – I'm speaking plainly.
Little gyms are important too. Little gyms are important too, man.
You can never have the athletic department you want to have or that you once had in this league, period. FedEx can do everything FedEx can do. Everybody else can do everything else it can do. But this league affiliation is a athletic department killer.
And we're seeing it with our eyes, GP. Like it's like this league was a constant for years, has been and even after those teams left, this has been a multi-bid league. Like it has been.
But it will not be again. It's not anymore. It's the 10th best league in the country. It's worse than the Missouri Valley Conference. Once upon a time, Memphis was in the Missouri Valley Conference. This predates you, but you would look at the trajectory of the Memphis athletic department, and it would be like, okay, they used to be in the Missouri Valley, now in the American, still not great, but at least it's not the Missouri Valley. You know, they're in a better league than they were once upon a time. It's not the SEC, but it's better than Conference USA. It's not anymore. It's not better than the Missouri Valley Conference. It's a one-bid league with no good teams. And it is hard to be good to the standard Memphis has set historically in a league like this. Gonzaga has figured out a way, despite the transfer portal, despite NIL, despite revenue sharing, to maintain its place in the sport. Credit to Mark Few. No other program outside of the traditional power structure has been able to do it, Memphis included, and I don't know that you can ever get it back in this league. It didn't used to matter what league you were in. You could still get Derrick Rose, Keith Lee, Penny Hardaway, Elliot Perry, Sylvester Ford, Chris Douglas Roberts, Cedric Henderson, Joe Jackson, you name it. You could always recruit those level players regardless of league affiliation. I don't think you can do it anymore. You just lost P.J. Haggerty. You also just lost your most important returning football player and your most important returning women's soccer player to the transfer portal, all three of them. That's a fact. You can explain it away, and I know that it can be explained away, individual circumstances, so on and so forth. But that's a not great trend, and this league makes it hard to get any of that stuff back. Again, the best hope is that there's some ACC departures soon, and then they need to fill spots, and you're in a position to fill one of those spots. Right now, that is the only hope, or at least the most realistic hope. And I am optimistic that that can be a thing. But until then, this is tough, man.
Yeah.
This is tough. True story. Dusty Bay, former coach at FAU, took the job because it's like, you dream of being a head coach, you get a D1 offer, let's go take the job. Get to live in Boca, and it's beautiful, and let's go do this thing at Florida Atlantic. True story. I don't know if you know this. He accepted the job before ever going to campus. Went to campus as FAU's coach for the first time. He's already verbally accepted the job.
Okay.
Hadn't signed anything. Verbally accepted the job. Went to campus with his wife. You ready for this? Walked into the gym. Literally started crying. Tearing up. What have I done? What have I done? What have I put our family in? Wanted to walk away from the job and just say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was getting myself into, but this is not going to work. He was like, once he saw it up close, he was like, you can't win here. And I don't know why I didn't know this. He felt kind of stupid, short-sighted. And his wife was like, you gave these people your word. You told them you're going to do this, you do it. And so he took the job but was real skeptical he could ever turn it into anything because of that building that Penny Hardaway was talking about last night. So it is what it is. You know, I promise we're not going to do this every time we talk about Tiger basketball.
But he had the quote, yeah.
My intentions are not to do this, but like Penny had the quote, and then we started talking, and here we are. But no sense in complaining about the state of the league every day as much as the important thing is to try to win the league. Like if you believe you're better than this league, you need to be able to show it.
Be better than it, yeah.
You need to be able to show it with trophies. They were able to do it last season, off to a good start. Based on the conference portion of the schedule so far this season, we'll see where it goes from here. But funny comments, last night from Penny Hardaway about the various venues his Tigers have to visit in the American.
Number 4.
Meantime, former Memphis football coach Ryan Silverfield. He's taking the Arkansas Razorbacks and rebuilding them with Memphis Tigers. He took a running back. He took a quarterback. Hey,
And a wide receiver, too. Yeah.
I know how mad y'all got about John Calipari taking a recruiting class. Y'all going to be mad at Ryan Silverfield for taking a quarterback, receiver, and running back?
Here's
the truth.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. Times have changed so much, nobody even cares about this anymore. In fact, it's expected. It's expected to happen now. And when Cal left for Kentucky, it was less normal, way less normal, to take recruits that had signed with the school. And that is why a lot of Memphis fans were upset about it. But fast forward all these years later, and at this point it's like, nearly 2 decades later, if you are a college head coach and you take a better job and there are players that are good enough to go with you, it is almost like expected that you take them. Ben McCollum was a Division II coach 2 years ago. Had a point guard named Bennett Sturtz. They were awesome. He got the Drake head coaching job, Division I offer. He took Bennett Sturtz with him. They won 30-something games last season at Drake, won the league, went to the NCAA tournament. Ben McCollum gets the Iowa offer, accepts the Iowa job. Guess who goes to Iowa? Bennett Sturtz. Bennett Sturtz has now followed Ben McCollum from D2 to Drake to Iowa. And this is where it ends. But, just trust me, if Ben McCollum, got the Kentucky job next season, Bennett Sturtz would probably just follow him to Kentucky. And everybody would understand in the era of transfer waivers, revenue sharing, and NIL, players aren't beholden to any school anymore unless they want to be. Perhaps that changes someday, but right now it's true. So I'm sure you could go on a Memphis message board somewhere and find somebody who is criticizing Ryan Silverfield for robbing the Memphis locker room. But this is very normal in college athletics now. And if there's a slew of awesome players from Southern Miss that Charlie Huff can bring to Memphis, then, I promise you Memphis fans are going to hope that he does that as well.
And he did already bring one. So, yeah,
right,
he's already
so.
brought. And the thing, it's funny, when I saw this and saw the A.J. Hill one that he's transferring to Arkansas, it did make me think, oh, it makes sense why he went with him in the UAB game when Brendan Lewis got hurt. Because remember when that happened, people were like, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't Arrington Maiden because he was the guy that came in the Arkansas game to have that big final, rushing first down. And so people's antennas were kind of up oh, that's kind of weird. I mean, they were both high-level recruits, but now it makes a little more sense.
Well, I can't speak to Ryan's way of thinking in that situation specifically, but I can tell you any coach who tells you they don't think about those things is lying to you. They absolutely think about manipulating minutes, playing time in the spirit of keeping people happy because you need them to feel good going into the offseason as opposed to pissed off going into the offseason because you're going to need a quarterback next season and you'd like to retain this guy and don't really care if you lose the other guy. So, yeah, that's a part of the thinking process. Okay, injury to this position player. We have 2 options. One is an older player that we don't really see much of a future with anyway. The other's a younger player who theoretically could start for me next season no matter where I'm at. I need to put my arm around that guy a little bit more, maybe at the expense of this guy a little bit more because I'm thinking long term.
Right.
Even if this guy can help me more now, who's the guy that's going to help me next season, regardless of where I'm working? Let me make sure I've got that relationship in a good place. This is just coaching college football, college basketball in the year 2026. And if you're not, I know some Memphis fans, they attach the losing streak at the end to the idea that Ryan already had 1 foot out the door and had already talked to Arkansas and was maybe already thinking about who he could take with him as opposed to trying to close the regular season strong. And I'm not even saying that's an incorrect assumption that those things were happening and they made a negative impact on the team or on his performance. But it's also almost unavoidable. This is just because of the way the calendar is set up, coaches are going to be asked to be distracted. The good ones are, at least, particularly the good ones at the American Athletic Conference level. If you're a good coach in that league, somebody at the Power Conference level is probably going to be interested in you. And if they're interested in you, they're going to be wanting to talk to you in October or November. They're not going to wait till it's all over. So, like I said yesterday, you just got to get the smart people in the room that have the power to make changes to college athletics and get them to make the changes. And the first big fix, at least for college football, needs to be the calendar. The calendar is goofy, and it creates problems for everybody. And until they get that fixed, these types of things won't go away. The Lane Kiffin thing will perhaps always be a one of one, but these other issues that are going on in the sport, like a coach trying to win an American Conference championship, but already talking to an SEC school and probably calculating somewhere in his head, which of these players at Memphis would I like to take to Arkansas with me, and how does that impact playing time down the stretch? Like, all of these things are natural to have seep into your head when you are Ryan Silverfield or in a position that Ryan Silverfield found himself in. But it's just unfortunate that the sport allows for that. So I wish they'd get in there, fix the calendar, so that all of this stuff, from Memphis to Oxford to Fayetteville, could just be cleaner going forward, because it's been a mess for about the past month.
Number 5.
NFL legend Tom Brady went on a podcast yesterday and was asked a very simple question, and I thought gave a incredibly insightful and thoughtful answer. It was about the current state of college athletics, and he was asked, given that he was a backup at Michigan and wasn't handed anything and had to fight to ever get onto the playing field, and it did not happen quickly, if he would have played in an era where he could have transferred without penalty, where he could have been the starting quarterback at a lesser school or different school without having to sit out for a transfer, if somebody would have waved millions of dollars in his face and said, hey, rather than be the backup there, come make this money and be the starter here, would his college career would it have unfolded differently? And he seems to have thought about this, and I thought provided an answer that got some real good messages in there. Kyra, if you got it, let's listen to Tom Brady answer that question.
Would Tom Brady have finished his career at Michigan if the rules were the same then as they are now?
It's such a hypothetical situation. The only thing I can answer is to say that based on what my experience was, I wouldn't want it any other way. My college experience was very challenging. It was very competitive. The lessons I learned in college, certainly about competition, those traits transformed my life as a professional. I was ready to compete against anybody because the competition in college toughened me up so much that I had a self-belief and self-confidence in myself that whatever I was faced, I could overcome that. And I think if we take that away from a young student athlete to say, you know what, I know it's tough to compete, but what we're going to do, before you have to compete, we're actually going to put you somewhere else so that you don't have to compete. That is absolutely the wrong thing to do to a young child. And I would challenge all the coaches and all the parents. They're the ones that have to guide these kids. You can't expect a 17 or 18-year-old to make these great decisions. They're young. They don't have life experience. It should be the parents. Be a good parent. Teach your kid the right values. What's going to sustain them in their careers over a period of time? Whether it's football or whether it's business or whether it's teaching or law school or medical school or a trade, whatever you want to do, you're going to have to go through hard things in your life. You're going to have to make tough choices. And the value isn't always about the last dollar. So I think all these things that are happening in college sports, we're prioritizing the wrong things. We're valuing the wrong things. And I'm not saying it's not important. It's one of 10 things that are important.
Yeah.
And certainly to me, it's not the most important. So when kids do go through that the right way, they're actually learning the right values.
Yeah.
And when you have the right values in life, that's going to sustain you as you move on through the rest of your life.
That's excellent. And something I hear from college coaches all the time. Now, obviously, it's a much easier thing to say when you're Tom Brady worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, the position some of these young men are put in, it's like quite literally life-changing money. Like, you're a college freshman, you come from mostly nothing, and now you're stuck on a bench making, good money, $400,000, but then a team in a different league says you can start next season for us as opposed to sit on the bench next season for that school, and they're only willing to pay $400,000 to their backup quarterback, but you're not our backup quarterback. You're going to be our starting quarterback, and we'll give you $1.1 million. Well, now what do? Do you fight through adversity like Tom Brady wants you to, or do you do the sensible thing? I could basically triple my annual income and start at quarterback. I only get theoretically 4 years to do this. I don't project, obviously, as an NFL quarterback, I need to make as much money as I can right now. This can change my mother's life, my father's life, my little brother's life. Like, I understand the advantages and benefits of fighting through adversity, but sometimes you just make the right decision for your family, period, end of story. Randomly, the TV was just on over the holiday, and the 30 for 30 on John Calipari was on TV. And I didn't watch it because I'd seen it whenever it came out, and I didn't care to see it again. But I just happened to walk in the room when a very specific part was on, the part where he was explaining taking the Nets job and leaving UMass. And he sort of explained it the way I've heard other men, certainly from that era, explain it before. Like, at some point they put so much money in front of me and so much responsibility in front of me that I had no idea what I was doing, or even if I didn't even really know if I wanted to do it. But it's just like, I got to go. I mean, what am I doing? I mean, I don't remember the number, but it was like life-changing money. You talk to Dan Munson, who was the Gonzaga coach before Mark Few was the Gonzaga coach. Why did you leave Gonzaga to go to Minnesota? I didn't want to. I was making like $125,000 at Gonzaga. They put $1 million a year in front of me at Minnesota. Like, who says no to that? So similarly with college athletes, I don't think it's as simple as just saying you should always fight through the adversity because the money can't be the most important thing. In some cases, the money does need to be the most important thing. Like, if you come from nothing and somebody's offering you $1.1 million and the next best offer you got is $400,000, you should probably take the money, because you'll never make that money again, barring a surprise. But the message from Tom Brady, if you could take that sort of situational stuff and set it aside, the message is true. And the message is something I hear from college coaches all the time. You can really learn something about yourself and become something different than what you are by having to fight through uncomfortable situations, having to fight through adversity. And what I hear from college basketball coaches all the time is that they hate. Tom Izzo talks about this. This is the issue with Tom Izzo. The issue. I should be able to recruit a high school player, recognize their talent, whether they do or not, recognize their flaws, whether they do or not, enroll them, and build them into what I envision them to be as individual players and as Michigan State Spartans. And I shouldn't have to worry about coaching them too hard or pushing them too hard, because they can easily get into a transfer portal and just run somewhere else for a little more money or even less. That is not good for them. It's not good for the sport. My promise to them is that I will not go into the transfer portal and every year try to find somebody I think's better than you to take the spot I'm begging you to develop into. I'm going to believe that I can develop you into what I believed you could be. And if I don't, that responsibility is on me. But if it takes longer than we both want, don't run from me. Let's stay in the gym. Let's keep fighting. Let's get better. And Tom will tell you, I spent decades doing that, and that's my favorite part of the job. And I don't feel like I can do it anymore, because I feel like if it doesn't happen quickly, they want to leave. If I push too hard, they want to leave, and they'll regret it. Right now, Tom Izzo will tell you, I got guys who come back to campus every year in East Lansing. There ain't many people wanting to spend summer weeks in East Lansing, Michigan. All right? We ain't LA. We ain't Miami. But I got players come back. They're 40 years old. They ain't got no reason to come back. They don't know none of my players, except they will when they meet them, because they're here for a week. I got players who come back every year with no current attachment to this program, but because this is what they feel like is home. Because maybe it didn't go perfectly at first, but they fought through and they meant something to this place, and this place meant something to them. And in this constant NIL revenue sharing transfer portal era of the sport, you lose that. And I don't know if that's entirely true because at Purdue, they've still got that. And at Michigan State, frankly, they've still got that. But they don't have it everywhere, And Tony Bennett talked about this and listed it as among the reasons he retired from Virginia when he did. He said he was in a group text with a bunch of his players from his national championship team, some of whom didn't play much as freshmen. And he asked them sort of the same question. Guys, if you could have transferred without penalty, just like left and went and got somewhere new, would you have done it? Or would you have done what you did and stick it out at Virginia? And he said most of his players said they know they would have regretted leaving, but if they would have had the opportunity to do it without sitting out, they would have, because they just wanted to play, not sit on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was unintended consequences to all of this. I am in favor of player movement and player rights, and as long as coaches can move around as often as they do, I don't have an issue with players moving around as often as they do. But I never try to tell you there isn't a negative attached to it. And the stuff Tom Brady was talking about there is clearly one thing. I believe it's possible Tom Brady would have become Tom Brady even if after 1 year he would have transferred to Iowa, became the Iowa quarterback, and then got into the NFL. It's possible he's Tom Brady no matter what. But he believes he gained something from having to fight through early stuff in college. And there's enough people who work in that space who I respect who believe there's real benefits from it. So, just keep that in mind if you're a parent of a young player, but certainly anybody developing into somebody who's going to be able to play at the collegiate level. There's two things you consistently hear from the greats, regardless of the sport. Two things. You know what it is? Don't bounce around all the time running from adversity. You want to play shortstop, but the shortstop's better than you, so you're stuck at second base. Try to work with that shortstop every day and get better, as opposed to run to a different team so you can be an inferior shortstop or an interior team. I mean, do what you want, but you might benefit from being around the better shortstop every day. You might benefit from not running from the adversity. Try to stick it out and fight through it. You'll feel better if you get through it. You might not, but if you ever break through to the other side, you'll gain something from that. I hear that from coaches all the time. And the other one is play as many sports as you can. Do not let any youth basketball coach, baseball coach, soccer coach tell you should only be playing this one sport all year long and ignore everything else. Mookie Betts will tell you he's a better baseball player because he played basketball and football. Patrick Mahomes will tell you he's a better football player because he played baseball. Two things you hear from coaches all the time and the greats all the time. Don't run from adversity in sports, and don't rid the diversity in athletic competitions from your childhood. I know you want to be the best travel baseball player, but you can be that, or at least one of them, while also playing soccer some, also playing basketball some. So there's some lessons in there from Tom Brady, and I don't think they're unique to him. He put them well and said them in a way that's getting a lot of attention. But those ideas, they're not unique to him. There's a lot of people in college sports that share them. Be back with Carry Out.
Southland Casino Hotel is helping you navigate to Santa. Win your share of over $550,000 in free play and a brand new Lincoln. Here Comes Santa takes flight on Saturday, November 1st, when you can begin earning entries. And don't forget the grand finale drawings on Saturday, November 29th and Saturday, December 27th to win a share of over $40,000 in free play or a brand new Lincoln. Win big during Here Comes Santa, only at Southland Casino Hotel.
It's gonna be food.
Oh, Jared!
Support your Grizzlies by voting for them to the 2026 All-Star Game.
Oh, Edie with the big swat on the deck, floats it up, off the glass and in. Cedric Power, yes sir!
Vote now by going to Grizzlies.com/All-Star.
Kroger, shoppers, and Grizz fans. Want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 Or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Memphis. Monday Night Raw returns with non-stop action, unmatched energy, and the superstars you love.
We don't get mad, we get even. We don't go home till we beat them. This is our time, we ain't leaving. Give me the crown undefeated.
Witness the moments you'll never forget. Monday Night Raw, Memphis. Monday, February 16th. Tickets and ringsider packages on sale next Friday.
Jeff Dunham, Artificial Intelligence, his all-new tour.
Just a ham. You're the other white meat. Ramsey, how can you be so smart on one hand and so stupid on the other?
Well, you're half of it.
I realize I could have avoided all this years ago with one simple word. I do not. Silence!
Don't miss a Memphis. Friday, April 10th, FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale Monday, September 29th at jeffdunham.com.
Grizz fans, don't miss the next great Grizzlies giveaway. Classic Edition Grizz bobbleheads going to be given to the first 5,000 fans who enter FedEx Forum Friday, January 9th. That's this Friday when the Grizzlies take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Presented by Sissy's Log Cabin. Plus one bobblehead will unlock the ultimate prize. It's a diamond, sapphire, and white gold necklace valued at $3,995. Great seats still available. The MVP and the champs, scoring champ, coming to town. Oklahoma City Grizz, Friday night inside FedEx Forum. Visit grizzlies.com/tickets today. Let's do GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we miss today?
So we talked about Grizzlies Spurs tonight instead of FedEx Forum. Tomorrow night, second night, back-to-back. Phoenix Suns are in town, and they took a loss last night in Houston to the Rockets. Kevin Durant, former Phoenix star, hit the game winner, finished with 26 points. And after the game, I don't know if you saw this.
I did, yeah.
He was asked, like, does it mean anymore that, to do this against the team that, you used to play for? And so often when guys are asked that question, they'll say things like, it's just another game. Every game's important. So just another game. I want to win every time I play. And so I was in a position to win a game. And so I just wanted to win that game. And, it's just another game. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, you're human, or at least you used to be. You can't possibly think that way. So I appreciated what KD said last night. Here's what he said when asked if it meant more to do this against Phoenix as opposed to, the Grizzlies or something. And he said, quote, most definitely. That's a place that I didn't want to leave. That's my first time. And he said, I don't want to sound too dramatic, but I will. That's the first time I've ever been kicked out of a place. So I don't think this was breaking news. We sort of knew that Phoenix wanted to move on from Kevin Durant, but he made it clear, like, there were other places that I left voluntarily, like Oklahoma City. I did not want to leave Phoenix. It was not my idea. They kicked me out. They decided they were ready to be out of the Kevin Durant business. And that's fine. Like, they might be better off for it. But, yeah. You ever been kicked out of a house? And it means a little more. You can go back there and maybe do it to them a little bit. And so, yes, this was different than just any normal game. I just appreciated the honesty, transparency. Yeah. Not every NBA player acknowledges that they have feelings, but KD does all the time. Like, every time I see him talking on a podcast, he's talking about his feelings. He's got the legendary interview with David Letterman that's on Netflix. It's really good. He's going back and forth on social media with people all the time. I just like that. He could have answered that question a million different ways. He decided to answer it honestly. 26 points for KD last night in a 197 victory over his former franchise, the Phoenix Suns.
What's today's biggest game?
Do college basketball. Nice win for you last night with Nebraska. You got the straight-up winner. Number 6 Duke at number 20 Louisville. That's where we're at tonight. Yum Center, 6 o'clock ESPN. Duke minus 1.5 on the road. The total's 161.5. I should tell you, Louisville's 5-star freshman stud, projected top 10 pick, Michael Brown Jr., has been ruled out of the game with a lower body injury. It's not serious, but he's not playing tonight. How are you going to act?
I think I'm going to take Duke. Their lone loss of the season was a couple games ago against a number 19 Texas Tech. So this is another top 25 opponent that they're facing, and a good one in Louisville, who we saw earlier this year. But I feel good about the Blue Devils tonight.
Bennett said take the Boozer Twins on the road. 6 o'clock tip. Duke minus 1.5. That's the play.
What are we watching on TV?
The Ion College Basketball Podcast is going to be on CBS Sports Network at noon today. So I got about 45 minutes to get ready. Obviously, you're going to want to watch the Chris Vernon Show on Grind City Media, but you should DVR the Ion College Basketball Podcast, noon Central, CBS Sports Network. It'll be me and Matt Norlander opening on the 6 remaining undefeated teams in college basketball. Among them, Bennett's Nebraska Cornhuskers that won last night at Ohio State. So that's noon Central today. CBS Sports Network. I'll change clothes probably.
What's the best thing we've read?
Jonathan Wasserman's got a updated NBA mock draft over at Bleacher Report. He's one of the mock drafters I bookmark and go back to when I start having to talk about this stuff more extensively and write about this stuff more extensively. He's still got Darren Peterson, the Kansas star who's barely played, going number 1 overall to the Indiana Pacers. Number 2, Cam Boozer to the Hawks. Number 3, A.J. Debonsa to the Kings. Number 4, Caleb Wilson, North Carolina, to the Wizards. Number 5, Kingston Flemings from the University of Houston, rounding out the top 5. He's been one of the surprises from this freshman class. Borderline top 20 pick who looks like a top 5 pick now. If you're curious, the Grizzlies and this mock are slotted to pick 10th and 17th. With the 10th pick, he's got him taking LeBaron Philon, the All-American guard out of Alabama. NBA comp, according to Wasserman, Mike Conley. At 17, he's got the Grizzlies taking Joshua Jefferson, the National Player of the Year candidate at Iowa State. He's 22 years old. NBA comp for him, according to Jonathan Wasserman, Kyle Anderson. So if you're curious, is they just like doing NBA comps for players who used to play for the franchise selecting? No, that's not what they're doing, because they got the Pacers taking Darren Peterson, and they're comparing Darren Peterson to Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has never played for the Pacers. So it's just 2 former Grizzlies compared to 2 possible future Grizzlies. LeBaron Philon, Mike Conley comp, Joshua Jefferson, Kyle Anderson comp. If you want to read the mock draft, you can find it, BleacherReport.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. Chris Vernon will join me. We'll look back at Grizz Spurs, get ready for Grizz Suns. Should be a fun show. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll try to enjoy mine. Let's meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Watching the Grizzlies is easy with FanDuel Sports Network. If you have cable or satellite, you're all set. Find us on your channel lineup. You can also use your TV provider login to watch games on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable or satellite? Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network online. You can also watch on Prime Video by adding a FanDuel Sports Network subscription. Not sure where to start? Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com to learn more.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Rumored to be one of only 18 in existence. Plated with the very same tungsten that forged the International Space Station. And wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Grizz Nation, Friday night just got a whole lot better. Introducing Buckets and Brews, the ultimate way to tip off your weekend. Every Friday this season, grab a terrace-level ticket to the Grizz game and 2 12-ounce Miller Lights for just $55. Get great seats, cold brews, and Grizzlies basketball. It's everything you need to start your weekend off right. So get the deal that's too cold to hold. Go to grizzlies.com/Friday to lock in your tickets today.